and welcome to our Group 3 podcast. I'm Liza Lee, and joining me today is my amazing group mates. We are so excited to share this deep dive with you into one of the biggest challenges facing not just ASEAN but the world, the climate change and disaster risk reduction.
So climate change is not just an environmental issue, it is a social, political, and economic one. As a region made up of thousands of islands and millions of people depending on farming, fishing, and tourism, ASEAN is especially vulnerable to disasters.
Absolutely. We have seen it firsthand when the super typhoon Yolanda in the Philippines in 2013. It wasn't just the homes were destroyed. The entire livelihoods were wiped out, communities were displaced, and rebuilding took years.
Meanwhile, Indonesia and Malaysia continue to grapple with the haze crisis every dry season caused by forest fires. That is why children couldn't go to school, airports were closed, and people got sick. These disasters are no longer random, they're amplified by climate change. And if we don't act fast, it will get worse.
That's why today, we're not just going to list problems, we're going to focus on solutions. What ASEAN as a community can realistically do to adapt, to prepare, and to work together better. We'll discuss 4 major areas. First, adaptation and mitigation strategies. Second, improving collaborative disaster response. Third, empowering the youth and grassroots sectors while building global partnerships. And fourth, crafting sector-specific interventions for the most vulnerable groups.
Let's start with adaptation and mitigation. These are two sides of the same coin. Adaptation means adjusting our system to survive and thrive under changing climate conditions, while mitigation is all about reducing causes of climate change, particularly the emission of greenhouse gases. We propose that ASEAN needs a bold and unified strategy, something like a Green Deal for Southeast Asia. This Green Deal would encourage every ASEAN country to shift massively towards renewable energy. For example, the Philippines has seen the growth of Solar Philippines, which now hosts the biggest solar farms in the region. Lao, known as the battery of Southeast Asia, supplies hydroelectric power to Thailand and Vietnam, showing that sustainable energy trade is not only possible but profitable.
I totally agree, Aaron. And shifting energy sources isn't enough. Our agriculture must also adapt because farmers are at the front line of climate impacts. Imagine the Mekong Delta in Vietnam, a place once rich with the rice paddies, now facing a saltwater intrusion due to rising sea levels. That's why climate-smart agriculture is the key. In Laos, for example, drought-resistant rice varieties are now being tested to help farmers survive the increasing drought. In the Philippines, reforestation efforts, especially mangrove replanting along coastal areas like in Leyte and Palawan, have proven effective. When mangroves are restored, they act as natural barriers, reducing storm surge impacts and protecting island communities. Mangroves also serve as a breeding grounds for fish, supporting both ecosystem and fishermen's livelihoods.
And to make sure these initiatives are equitable, we suggest setting up an ASEAN Climate Resilience Fund. This fund would pool resources from international grants, climate bonds, and even ASEAN contributions. Its purpose would be to finance urgent adaptation projects and especially to countries that are lagging behind in resilience measures. Myanmar, which struggles with both political instability and climate vulnerability, would benefit from fast-track irrigation systems and disaster shelters. Similarly, Laos and Cambodia, which are among the least developed economies in ASEAN, could get direct support to invest in early warning technologies and resilient infrastructures.
Princess, you mentioned reforestation. Do you think countries really have the political will to plant millions of trees?
It's hard, but yes, when communities are involved directly. In the Philippines, after Typhoon Haiyan, mangrove rehabilitation was community-led, and it became a source of both protection and pride. Political will grows when people see tangible benefits.
Moving to disaster response, it's clear that ASEAN has regional mechanisms like the AHA Center and the AADMER agreement. Real-time response often faces delays. We propose forming an ASEAN emergency response team, an elite task force trained for typhoons, earthquakes, and volcanic eruptions and floods. This team would use modern technology such as drones to survey disaster zones quickly, deploy mobile hospitals within 24 hours, and even tap into satellite imagery to guide operations.
Exactly, Hill. But the response isn't enough if warning systems don't reach people in time. Early warning system must be expanded and connected across countries. Imagine a network where a typhoon forming over the Pacific automatically triggers multilingual alerts that reach cell phones across the Philippines, Malaysia, Vietnam, and Thailand, long before landfall. Japan Earthquake Early Warning System is an inspiration during 2011 Tohoku earthquake. It gave people vital seconds to evacuate trains and factories. Asian can build a similar network adapted to tropical disaster.
And on top of that, we recommend joint ASEAN disaster drills. It's not enough to have separate national drills. Imagine Thai soldiers, Filipino paramedics, Indonesian engineers, and Malaysian police practicing rescue operations together. The faster we learn to coordinate, the fewer lives will be lost during future calamities.
Arbaya, have you ever experienced an evacuation drill that felt unorganized?
Yes, many times during typhoons. Sometimes announcements come too late or are confusing. A connected ASEAN system could make a life or death difference.
Now let's talk about youth involvement. Young people today are not just participants, they are leaders. That's why we propose an ASEAN Climate Fellowship that selects student leaders, environmental activists, and young entrepreneurs from each country. fellows would work on green tech startups, community adaptation plans, and policy advocacy programs across ASEAN. Programs like Eco Schools in Singapore, where schools adopt sustainable practices, show that the youth are more than capable.
Grassroots movements are just as powerful. Like in Barangay San Roque in the Philippines, residents built their own flood warning system with just using simple materials like loudspeakers, painted signs, and community training. These small actions saved lives. By scaling up these efforts, each barangay or village can become a frontline defender against the climate disasters.
And ASEAN must strengthen its global partnership too. Japan has been very supportive, giving advanced rescue vehicles and training programs to Southeast Asian countries. Meanwhile, the European Union has invested in renewable energy microgrids in remote Indonesian islands. The United Nations also partners with ASEAN through technical support for disaster risk management programs. Collaboration across borders will be vital if we want faster innovation and funding.
JP, what do you think is the biggest barrier to youth action right now?
Maybe lack of platforms and opportunities. Many youths have ideas but don't know where or how to act. A formal ASEAN Climate Fellowship could change that.
Let's not forget vulnerable sectors. Farmers, for example, are suffering the most but are often the least supported. If Asian governments could provide affordable weather insurance policies, farmers could recover faster after droughts or typhoons. In Cambodia, the Food and Agriculture Organization has helped farmers adopt flood resistance, rice varieties, and smarter irrigation systems, resulting in better yields even after heavy rains.
Tourism is another huge sector at risk. We propose mandatory eco-certification for hotels, resort, and even tourist booths. Bali in Indonesia already leads in sustainable tourism, where hotels are judged based on their waste management, energy, efficiency, and community support. If ASEAN standardize this certification, we not only protect the environment but also market Southeast Asia as a premier ecotourism destination.
Manufacturing industries must also transition toward a circular economy model. Factories in Thailand have already begun using solar power and recycling wastewater to reduce their carbon footprint. Expanding these models across ASEAN would lower emissions dramatically.
And last but not the least, education. Climate literacy should be integrated into school curriculums from elementary to college. Students must learn not just about carbon dioxide and global warming, but also local climate impacts, survival skills during disasters, and green technology innovations.
Aaron, do you think ecotourism can compete against big resorts?
If tourists are aware, yes. Ecotourism is not just a trend, it's the future, and Asia's natural beauty is our biggest asset.
Adaptation and mitigation are not optional, they are urgent requirement for survival.
Disaster response must be faster, smarter, and united all across ASEAN nations.
The youth and grassroots are powerful movements for real change.
Protecting vulnerable sectors are not only humane, it's essential for regional stability.
Investing in climate justice and inclusive development is investing our own future.
We are stronger, smarter, and safer when we act together as one ASEAN.
Because truly, the future of ASEAN depends on the choices we make starting today.
We are Group 3, and together we stand for a climate resilient ASEAN.